Hello and welcome to Tiny Desk Knitting with Emma. Sorry it's been a couple weeks. I was in Boston visiting some friends from high school the week after I went to England. And that was just like a really quick turnaround for trips, which was kind of crazy. And because I was in Boston from Friday all the way until Tuesday, I did not record a video. I almost recorded a video with my high school friends who like knitting, but we were too busy like eating pancakes and going for walks on the beach because a bunch of my high school friends live in Boston. Like we're from a bigger friend group in high school, and so we have a lot to catch up on, and one of them is getting married this summer and all of us are bridesmaids, and so we were talking about like plans for the bachelorette party that we're having in Florida in May. And yeah, being 28, you are in a lot of weddings. That's one of those things. But I like, it's like one of my best friends in the world is getting married, and we're all really excited. And it was really fun to see them. And I got to go to the yarn store in Cambridge called Gather Here, which is very expensive because it's Boston. And I got a skein of sock yarn. But that's where my friend Ivy likes to go get her yarn locally. And it was a really cute shop. I think it was in Cambridge. Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I got there on the Green Line. And then we went to dinner somewhere close there, close to there. So yeah, today I'm wearing, I don't know if I've ever worn this on my channel before, but maybe I have. It's a yoke pattern that I just kind of like adapted from Tin Can Knits Love Note, which is one of my favorite patterns. But the gauge is very different. I really liked the idea of the mohair and wool held together. So this is a mohair silk blend and a merino and silk blend also for the single. So it's like, it looks like a merino fingering single, but it's got silk in it, and so it's really shiny. And it really feels like you're wearing like something made of water almost on your skin. It's like really, really soft. And I dyed these yarns myself. Sometimes those yarns can get really, really expensive. But if you can dye them yourself, and you can get them from a wholesale website, I get mine from Wool to Dye 4, the 2 and the 4 are both numbers, then it's a lot less expensive, especially if you get like over 12 kilograms and it's wholesale or something. So that, maybe it's 12 pounds. I don't know, but there's some weight. And if you get it over, if you order more than that amount, it's like 20% less. So money. So if you're interested in dyeing your own yarn, you don't actually need a whole lot of materials. I kind of collected materials over like the last 4 or 5 summers as I've started to dye more yarn, but I really just have like a big burner, like a big pancake griddle. I don't use it for pancakes because there's yarn dye all over it. And I use just like aluminum, kind of like lasagna pans from the grocery store, like the long ones that aren't super deep. And I have dyes, I mix them myself. I have a bunch of ball jars where I mix the stock. You need like a kitchen skill that's pretty precise to weigh it all out. You need 3M masks, not N95s. You need a 3M mask, like a really good one, or like an actual ventilator mask, if you have access to that. But it's not too hard. You need a water supply, you know, stuff like that. I just kind of shuttle water into the house through this into the sink with a giant humongous stock pot. So I don't want to like be walking through the house with things that have dye in it in case it drips on the hardwood floor. One time it did drip on the hardwood floor, but my mom got it out with Barkeeper's Friend, which is a great, it's like this white powder that you shake on, I don't know what it's made out of, but it cleans stuff up, like it cleans up stains. You can use it in like stained mugs. Like if you've stained your mugs with coffee, you can use Barkeeper's Friend and it will like clean all the stains off. It's kind of amazing. Somebody watching this probably knows what it's made out of, and that's cool. They can comment that if you want. You can comment that. Anyway, yeah, I'm talking about my sweater. Okay, so I use the Frost Flowers pattern, which is just the kind of like an old classic lace pattern. It's the front cover of Barbara Walker's first stitch dictionary, a treasury of knitting patterns, isn't that what it's called? Yeah. My copy, which is a used copy from, I don't know when it was published, I'm guessing it's like from the 90s. It has this, like a picture of frost flowers, like lace on the front, and it's in that book. But you can find it on the internet for free if you want. I know that I made a blog post about how I knit this sweater back when I was like writing a blog before I had the channel. So I'll link that below. You can see my mug says Chaos Coordinator. I got this at Target. I thought that was funny. I should probably keep it in my office because that way the students will know that I'm the Chaos Coordinator. I'm supposed to bring order back into their lives, not chaos, but yeah, try my best. Okay. So, yeah, it's basically just a circular yoke sweater like the Love Note, but it's at a tighter gauge. I think this is about 22 stitches over 4 inches. And yeah, I just kind of like increased to a number that could accommodate the frost flowers pattern. This is a complicated lace pattern. There's lace on every row. Like you don't get a rest row in between. Also, it only looks good if the flower is over the stem, I found, because it kind of gets gathered at the bottom where the stem starts, and here that doesn't happen. So it doesn't matter. I still love the sweater. I think it just is so comfortable. So yeah, anyway, today I'm going to talk about my Hilda sweater, which has been in progress for, I don't know, half a year now. And it hasn't been in timeout. I've just been like, there's so much knitting in this, and I still have so much knitting left, even though I'm more than halfway done probably. And I just can't, like it's getting to be summer and I'm like, oh, like I want to knit socks and small projects and all this stuff, and t-shirts and tank tops and whatever. There's this Fair Isle sweater and I'm just like, how? So I think I just need like some discipline and like get myself to like work on it for an hour every day, and it'll get done in a few months if I do that, because I can't wear it till next fall realistically anyway. But basically what happened, I'm going to show you Hilda in the Vintage Shetland Project. This is a book by Susan Crawford where she kind of like, I mean, let me just see. Okay, I'm gonna read what she did because I'm just gonna like say a bunch of dumb words if I don't. So with the help of Dr. Carol Christensen, who's American, that's fun, the museum's curator, the Shetland Museum's curator, Susan undertook the task of carefully selecting the most stunning and original designs from the 1920s to the 1950s, transcribed them stitch by stitch, and has here recreated them for the modern knitter in stunning detail and a range of sizes for women and men. So there's 27 patterns. There's a bunch of essays that Susan wrote. There's a beautiful photo gallery, and then the patterns are in the back. So this is like a honkin' book. It's like 500 pages. It's very heavy, and it's the most beautiful thing that I own, probably. It's stunning, this book. My mom got this book for me when I finished my master's, which was a nice gift. So this is what the sweater looks like. This is Hilda. And as you can see on this page, it is a kind of somewhat oversized kind of coat cardigan with a v-neck and really fun edges with little polka dot details almost. It's all done in natural shades of Shetland wool. I love this piece. It's a banded design. So love that. But I had just finished knitting before I made this sweater. The last Fair Isle piece that I had done, last big Fair Isle piece I'd done was the Bray cardigan. And if you've been following my channel for a long time, you've probably seen episodes about the Bray cardigan. And there was a third one that ended up getting like part of it. The one I just like, I think I must have like tried to put the clips in iMovie on my computer and like something got lost in translation. And it was like really slow, and it was really funny. I was talking like really slow and low for like a big part of it, and it wouldn't have made sense without that part, and so I just never uploaded it. And it, the sweater got done. It looks great, but yeah, that happened. So, Hilda, I didn't want to make a V-neck cardigan because I just made one of those, and it was also banded, and it was, it basically looked just like Hilda in the style, except it was shorter and not quite as oversized. Although maybe if I had knit it longer, it would have been oversized. So I was like, I want a crew neck jumper. I have, did the Mayonnaise jacket, which is a jacket. It's like a little cardigan jacket. It doesn't have any buttons because it's kind of like a little cropped jacket. It's not as big as I thought it would be. Check your gauge. And I have the lapwing pullover, which is by Marie Wall, and that's a free pattern. And I modified it to be knit in the round with steeks. So it's like a periwinkle jumper with white bands. But yeah, I wanted to do like a really traditional banded Farrell crew neck jumper with as many natural shades of Shetland wool as I could use. And I liked the palette for this, but I really wanted it to have red. So if you've not seen this yet, here it is. I'm gonna talk about my journey in editing this pattern and how I messed up. So the last time, if you've been following, the last time you saw this, it was just the body was done. I hadn't cut any steeks. Now it has a neck hole. That worked, it fits well. I kind of flew by the seat of my pants with measurements for this cardigan. I basically did stitch counts that were gonna get me the size that I wanted-ish, like near enough to the size that I wanted around my body, with taking into account stitch counts of the bands. So I used, most of the bands I used are Susan's bands from this pattern, but I did make a few edits. And if you watch my videos from before, I can probably tell you which ones. I think it was like this one and this one, maybe the last couple. Yeah, because I didn't want to repeat any. As you can see, the bigger bands, every other bigger band is the same. So like this one is the same as this one, is the same as this one, is the same as this one. And then in the middle, these are different. Oh, they're all different. They're all kind of like, that's like a snowflake, and that's round, and that's another kind of flower thing. They're all somewhat similar, but they are all different. So I did not secure the steeks on this. I did wash it. I blocked it. The body without steeks cut. So it had 2 steeks there, and it had a steek at the neck. The last video I did on this, Hilda 3, which I think I uploaded in like December, that was back when I was still recording in the basement, which makes me really sick because it's full of dust. And I have asthma. Yeah, so that, so I blocked it, like I just put it in some hot water with wool wash, let it sit, let it dry. I always do that before I pick up stitches along a steek ridge, especially in a woollier yarn, because the stitches just need to settle a little bit. So I did that, and then I picked up the stitches. I think I did the neck first. Yeah, I did the neck first because there's a picture of me. I'll try and insert it here. There's a picture of me wearing it with the sleeves still uncut, but the neck is open and the neck is done. My roommate took a picture of me, like, and my arms are inside it and I look really silly. Yeah, I'll try to overlay that here and not forget this time. And then I picked up the stitches around each armhole and did a couple of rounds and then cut the steek. And I did that with both armholes, and then the second one, I just continued knitting and I did the first sleeve. This was around Christmas time, so it was a couple months ago. So like I said, this has just kind of been in the doghouse for a couple months. I haven't really been working on it. So what happened was I charted out the sleeve. I did because I thought it would be easier to do that. And I used a like Knitbird or some stitch. You can get Stitch Mastery, whatever your chart software is if you have one, because I wanted to like make sure I was making symmetrical sleeves and all that stuff. So I thought on the Bray cardigan, you were supposed to decrease every 4 rows. And for some reason, I didn't think I should decrease every 4 rows. I thought I should decrease every 5 rows. And like, I don't know what I was thinking, but this is how big the first sleeve is. It's so big. Like, I just like, that is like way too large. So I can't put it on because the other sleeve's on the needles. But it just did not decrease fast enough. So I had way too many stitches at the end. And I'm gonna have to reknit this whole sleeve. And I kind of thought about like, what if I just like cut it open and sewed it together? And I was like, I'll just create unnecessary bulk on the inside of the sweater and the other one won't match, because I'll do the other one like at a reasonable decrease rate where I decrease every 4 stitches. I mean, every 4 rounds. And I just was like, leave that there. Eventually, I'm not gonna like actually unravel it. What I'm gonna do is actually cut it off here, like I'm gonna make one cut at the top somewhere and just unravel that row, and then I'm actually gonna use the yarn again when I reknit it, because I will be using like slightly less yarn in each row because it will be smaller, decreasing faster. So annoying because I weaved in all the ends, but what can you do? There is not a whole lot. So luckily I have enough yarn probably if I needed to like supplement a little bit or like reknit it in different yarn. If I had to do that, it's not blocked. It's gonna be kind of wiggly, squiggly yarn, but whatever. So yeah, that's been frustrating. So I did start the second sleeve. I figured before I unraveled that, I'm gonna start the second sleeve, see if it works. You know, be careful. I've literally only done 1, 2, almost 3 bands. A stitch didn't just fall off. Yeah, I've done 3 bands. I really should just work on it a little more. I really go through phases with Fair Isle where I like need to be knitting other things, and then I like remember, and then I'm like, oh, and then I pick the Fair Isle up and I'm like crazy for like 4 days with, sorry. Every time I jostle the table, like camera moves because I have an it's like an iPad holder. It's called Try One, and it's like an arm that holds your iPad or your phone. And it is the best tripod in the world because it's adjustable, and it's like you can just have this flexible arm that you can just like do whatever you want with. And it does hold your iPad if you're like watching something. My mom has one for that, so that she can like not have something on her lap that she's watching when she's knitting. And she got me one of these because I liked to use hers as a tripod when I was living at home last fall. So this is it's been a whole thing. But I'm excited for it to be done because I really want to wear this. The body fits great. Again, I'll try and overlay a picture of me wearing the body after I cut the sleeve steeks open, because I really like the way that it fits, and I really want to wear this sweater. Could just really cut my losses and make this into a vest, but I'm not going to do that because I already have a vest and I wanted this to be a big sweater, and I'm so excited to eventually wear it next winter. This is not even the only Fair Isle sweater I have on my needles. I started a Yell by Marie Wallen like almost 2 years ago, and I think I talked about this in my whip roundup video, which is from a few months ago. Recorded it on Martin Luther King Day. If you're looking for a date, I think I uploaded it that day too. I started a Yell by Marie Wallen in Knit Picks palette because I had a ton of Knit Picks palette. I was gonna use something else for the main body. I think I was gonna use Jameson and Smith Heritage. That did not end up working. The yarns did not match gauge properly, and this just keeps wobbling, sorry. And the palette was a lot plumper than the Jameson and Smith Heritage, so I unraveled the Jameson and Smith Heritage and made it into a vest, which there are a couple episodes about from last summer. Ended up being great. I love that vest. I wear it a lot. It's really nice under like a blazer for work. So the Yell, so I ended up getting more palette like last summer in like charcoal and silver or something to finish that. And I did start the body, and I changed the body pattern because the original pattern of Yell, they're by Marie Wallen, it's in her collection Shetland, a lot of the floats were just really long. And I don't like to knit with long floats in a sweater because you can just catch them on stuff. I just don't like knitting long floats where you have to catch them a bunch of times. So I used my, I should make a video about this. I used my Sell Blue Patterns book I found a pattern in there that's like an all over pattern to do the body instead with that. And also I'm doing it to the dimensions of just like a cardigan instead of like a regular cardigan with a steek at the neck and sleeves and stuff, so that it will just fit like a normal cardigan instead of kind of the jacket where that kind of rides up. Although I think now I'm gonna do it with raglan sleeves instead of steeks, and I just want to try that and see if it works. Like I'm gonna knit up to the armhole split on the body, and then I'm gonna knit 2 sleeves, and then I'm gonna join it all in the round and do raglan decreases and see what happens with that. It'll be fun. We'll see. I was thinking of doing the mock set-in sleeve style, like in if you have Norwegian Knitting Designs 90 Years Later, there are some sweaters in there. I think I might have talked about it in a video last fall. Like go look for my video, like Norwegian knitting patterns or something. Norwegian knitting books. I don't know. It's from September or October. Should be there. Yeah, that that has some instructions on basically how to do set-in sleeves in a seamless way. So you're not actually setting in the sleeve with stitches. You're just you're putting all those stitches on the same needle, and you're decreasing in a way that looks like there's like a purl ridge here or something straight up the shoulder. If you have ever knit Aldous by Isabel Kramer or are interested in knitting mock set-in sleeves from the top down, that's a great pattern. It's just like a plain vanilla-esque sweater where you set in, it looks like a saddle shoulder almost. It's kind of cool, and you do these purl ridges while you're increasing the sleeves really slowly. Like you increase the body really fast at the very top of the shoulder, so the body is straight here, and you've got enough ease all the way down without making increases, and then you increase on the sleeves, and it looks like a set-in sleeve, and it's really cool. So there's that. Part of me actually considered knitting this from the bottom up and then like grafting it on, and that's not a horrible idea because it's just like easier to knit a sleeve if there's not a huge sweater hanging off of it. But because I'm already knitting this one from the top down, it might look weird if I don't think it would be weird if the stitches were facing a different direction. I don't think that would be super obvious, but I do think that the increases on one sleeve with decreases in the other one might look weird. I don't know. I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna do my thing. And keep knitting this. Yeah. What was I talking about? I was talking about set-in sleeves. Yeah. I don't like to set in sleeves if I can avoid it. I did do it on my lapwing sweater, and it actually looks pretty good. I had to watch a video on YouTube on how to do set-in sleeves properly, and you can't see the sewing yarn at all, and it looks like it fits. The sleeves fit, which was a miracle. You have to knit the sleeves to fit into the set-in hole, and like the on the sleeve steek. So like, yeah, be careful. But it does fit and it looks good. So if you like go to my earliest videos, I think I'm wearing lapwing in a couple of them, and I have an episode about my lapwing sweater. It's like episode 10 or something. You'll know if you're scrolling through because the thumbnail is just me holding up the lapwing sweater, and it's periwinkle and white. Recorded it when I was still a nanny. Yeah. So cool. This video is only 22 minutes long, but I'm gonna talk about myself and stuff because that's what I do, just inevitably. Yeah, I haven't recorded in a couple of weeks. I got recorded when I got back from England, and I had to talk really quietly. I don't actually have to talk quietly. Hannah can't hear me at all. She's 2 floors up, and she is a very sound sleeper. Jordan's not here this morning, so I'm not worried about that. But yeah, they can't hear me if I record, so I'm so sorry for whispering in my last episode because I was afraid of waking them up. I think I was more because it was like really early in the morning. It was like 6 a.m. When I was recording it, or 6:50 or something, and it was dark out, and I was like, I felt like I had to whisper. And a couple of people were like, oh, I'll send you a microphone. I actually have a microphone for my computer that I got, but it doesn't plug into my phone. My phone actually picks up sound well enough that I don't need it. I would have needed it if I had kept recording on my iPad, which I was doing for a while. But the definition on my iPad's not great. Like the iPhone has really good like 4K and HD definition. HD, the D stands for definition. That's one of my pet peeves when people will like say like ATM machine, and I'm like, the M stands for machine. You don't have to say machine. It's just an ATM. So HD means high definition, so I don't have to say the definition after HD. But yeah, iPhone has a really good camera, so it's really easy for me to just kind of record on my phone and then like string it all together in iMovie on my phone and upload it to YouTube on my phone and then delete it because it takes up a lot of space. But once I get through that, it's like not really a problem. I just can't then like have the video for myself. I probably could like find a way to put it on my hard drive, but my computer has like no memory on it. I could probably use my work computer to do it. That probably has no memory either. Files take up so much memory. I even have iCloud, and it's just like, I need like a big desktop computer with a ton of memory, like a gamer bro, like my brother. He would probably have that, but it doesn't matter. I'm not really fussed. I have my method for uploading videos, and it seems to work. So yeah. Yeah, also there's like ads on my videos now because I had enough viewers that they like put ads on it, and they were like, we're gonna pay you, and I'm like, okay. But apparently there's ads like in the middle, and I don't like that, so I'm gonna try and take those away because I don't like it when I'm watching a video and like it stops and there's an ad. I actually have an ad blocker on my computer, so I don't see ads on YouTube if I'm watching them on my laptop. And that makes me avoid that, which is nice. But yeah, I'm really sorry about that. But it does support me, I guess. They pay me almost nothing from it, so it's not great. But yeah, we'll see. Anyway, that's fun. I guess I should talk a little bit about the yarn I'm using. I will recommend that you go and watch like the previous 3 videos about Hilda if you want to see more information, but I am using, I literally never said this, Supreme Jumper Weight from Jamieson and Smith in a bunch of colors. I got 2002, I got 2004, this is 2006, this is wound, it came off a cone, 2005, Shetland Black, came off a cone, 2008's in here, 2007's in here, one of those, 2007. Ooh. Yeah, so basically this goes with this in the pattern. This will go against this one, and then this one goes with the red, which is 2-ply jumper weight in color 9113 maroon. This is my only 2-ply jumper weight. This is a little bit thinner than this one. They're the same. It's the same yarn. This is just like processed a little more. This is a little plumper. It is what it is. There's more yards on this than there is on this. I mean, this is 50 grams, so there's more yards, but like by weight, there's fewer yards on this one than there's more yards on that. That's the same thing. This is just undyed and this is dyed. So the Supreme jumper weights are undyed and the jumper weights are 2-ply jumper weight is dyed. Yeah, I have no idea how much of each I used. 2 or 3 balls of each, probably more of 2002 because all the red bands have that as the background. Yeah, it's fun. Anyway, yeah, I've been kind of busy with work and stuff, so that's been good. I'm an academic advisor for math and science, mostly science students at a big public research university, in case you did not know that. Yeah, and I am recording on Sunday morning. It's 8:30. Oh, that's good. I have to go to church today because it's Palm Sunday. If you are new to my channel, I have talked about this before. Sometimes I go on rants about church music. So it's been like a long pandemic, and I'm like that I basically have not regularly been able to go to church. And I also moved to Baltimore, which is a new place, and I am not in a choir here yet. But the one I'm going to today actually has a choir that is like, has volunteers and professionals, which is a nice mix because then it's a high standard for volunteers. And if you volunteer, then, you know, it's like a high quality music experience if you want to do that. And that's nice. Semi-pro is my preferred type of choir. That is like, I did not give any background to that. So I grew up in the Episcopal Church. I'm still in the Episcopal Church. It is a church with a long tradition of music, choir music, huge. So the Episcopal Church was an offshoot of the Anglican Church, which is the Church of England. And the Episcopal Church started when America left England in the 18th century. After the war. Episcopal means that it is run by bishops. That is a fact. My chair is really squeaky. Sorry. It is the chair. It's not me. Episcopal means it's run by bishops, which is also the case with the Church of England, and also the case with the Catholic Church. So in America, we have elected bishops. There is like the main bishop. His name is Michael Curry, and he preached at the royal wedding. He's an African-American man who talked about love at the royal wedding, and you've probably seen clips of that. He's the bishop of this. There's like a name, like it's completely slipping my mind. Oh my gosh. As a church historian, this is really embarrassing. He's the general bishop of this country, whatever that name is. And then there's like diocesan bishops of each diocese, which is a group of churches, and in each diocese there's a cathedral, and then there's a bunch of other churches. So I grew up singing at the cathedral in the Diocese of Vermont, which is called St. Paul's, and it's in Burlington. And I started singing in the choir when I was 8, and I really hated it at first. I really wanted to quit. I was a musician. Like, played piano. I was always really musical as a kid, like a little kid. And like I could read music when I started choir. I was a competent musician already, whatever, but I hated it because I was like the only person there. Often, like the only kid who came to rehearsal on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then there were like some older kids who would be there on Sundays, but they rehearsed at a different time because they were like in middle school. And then eventually more people were there that, and made it more fun. But my teacher, Mark, is like still one of my closest mentors, and I dedicated my thesis to him. And he was really, really patient with me because I would cry a lot because nobody else would be there, and he would like let me stamp music with him that had the cathedral's address on it and stuff. And we would like clean handbells together or something if I was too like distraught to sing. And by like middle school, I would be like crying if there was not rehearsal because I liked choir so much. And when I was in high school, I started going to this course for girls specifically in middle and high school in New York City, where we basically learned how to be professional church musicians, and they tricked us into it by taking us to Broadway shows and outings in New York, and it was the most fun I ever had in my life. And it tricked me into becoming a professional church musician. And so I actually still work at that course. It runs in the summer, and it is the best part of my year. So I actually did a degree in music history and theory in undergrad, and I went to University of Toronto because I wanted to sing church music at a professional level, and that was the like city in Canada where I knew that I could do that because I had some contacts there. There was this sort of old Anglican college at U of T, which is where I went. It's called Trinity College, and there was a chapel choir there that sang Evensong every week, which I had always wanted to do, and I got to sing in this big parish choir on Sunday mornings. That was it was a high standard of music, and the organist there was really, really good. And he actually retired the same year that I graduated from college. His name is John. My thesis was also dedicated to him, but he didn't read it. I mean, I didn't send it to him because he's not a musicologist. He lives in Toronto. And he is now retired, which is good because he deserves to be retired after a long career of church music. He was just like amazing. He actually taught me how to play organ. So I'm such a bad organist, but like, if you want to see what I'm talking about, I'm actually going to try and not overlay, but I'm just going to like insert a video here of me. This is from a few years ago. I can't play this well anymore, but so that's a hymn tune. It's a French hymn tune called Grafton, and as you can see, I messed up in the middle, which is fun. That was from 4 or 5 years ago. Maybe more. Yeah, maybe 5 years ago. Back when I was playing a lot, before I went to grad school, I love to play organ because it's fun, but it's really hard. So like if you watched my feet, I was actually playing a keyboard with my feet. I'm really bad at all of that manual dexterity with hands and feet, and it's just like really hard. So I have a lot of friends who are really, really good and professional organists, and I admire that because I can't do it at that level in any way. Mostly because I did not want to practice piano in high school. So if I'd practiced piano more in high school, could have had a career as a church musician, but that's kind of a hard career. You have to be like tied to a church and stuff, and there can be conflicts of varying, conflicts with you and the priests and people who have differing opinions about things, and it can be kind of a frustrating job. So yeah, I don't run a choir program, but I am a church musician. And in Philadelphia, when I was in grad school, so I did my master's degree in musicology, and my thesis wasn't really that musicological. It was about like the history and rights of girl choristers and professional child musicians in English cathedrals. And yeah, I didn't do a doctoral thesis about it because it was about child abuse, and I didn't feel comfortable writing a doctoral thesis about child abuse. So I quit the PhD program and just mastered out and wrote a master's thesis about it. But yeah, it would have been a very like investigative reporting kind of thing and not really academic. And I don't know, I didn't want to build an academic career on child abuse research, and also I didn't want to work in academia because it's toxic and there's no jobs. So I am passionate about teaching. I really like teaching music history, which I got to do a lot in graduate school. I was very lucky that I had a program that included a lot of teaching in the fellowship. And I'm interested in teaching music history again at some point. At the institution where I work, that is like a possibility, which would be great. But yeah, I'm teaching academic success classes there now. And that's kind of what I do for my job, which is great. There's a lot of overlap in my teaching style for music history and academic success. I'm still teaching with means, but yeah, that's why my journey as a church musician. I sang in a big semi-pro choir in Philadelphia as well, at St. Mark's Church. So yeah, I'm looking for a choir in Baltimore that is similar to what I have known in the past. And it's been a long pandemic of not really singing church music, so I did do some singing when I was at home in October and November of last year, but we had these big masks that were cloth, and I got like really dizzy and tired for like the whole month of November because of all the carbon dioxide I was breathing in. So that wasn't great. So I can't really do heavy mask singing. I could probably sing I can do the paper masks, but they're not as protected. So I think I might end up having to wait until the fall anyway, because I'm almost all church musicians rehearse on Thursday nights. It just seems to be like this weird universal thing, at least in the US and Canada where I have lived. And I'm actually about to start a kickball league with my roommates and a bunch of my friends that plays kickball on Thursday nights in Baltimore. So I can't do choir until that's over, which will probably be like in June. And so it'll be like next year, like academic year. Because churches usually take a hiatus from choir in the summer. Fun fact. So yeah, that's 20 minutes of me rambling about church music. Not 20 minutes, but I like to ramble about it. I get off on tangents, and I sometimes think I will drop it into conversations and then I have to explain myself. But yeah, a lot of people, I'm always like, I'm sorry, this isn't about knitting. And then like all the comments I get are like, oh yeah, like I love church music and stuff. So drop comment if you love church music or you want to talk about the Episcopal Church. Yeah, I don't necessarily want to talk about being a religious person. I've always gone to church, and I find that the Episcopal Church is welcoming. The motto is the Episcopal Church welcomes you. And generally, sort of, I love church music. That's kind of where I vibe. Like, again, this is like loud organ music. Like, there's so many different types of church music. When I say church music, I'm so specific in like musical, historical kind of traditions from England, and also some Catholic traditions from like the Renaissance period in Italy. The Anglicans have kind of appropriated that. Catholics and Anglicans just sort of like trade music on and off. Like, there are a lot of Catholic hymns that were from England, and there are a lot of Anglican churches that sing like Catholic polyphony and stuff, which is kind of cool. Catholic and Anglican churches are very similar. But yeah, I like that. I don't like to rant about religion. I just think people should be nice to each other, and that's how I get reminded to be nice to people. So yeah, that's that. Everyone thinks I'm gonna become an Episcopal priest when I'm like 50. Might happen. I don't know. We'll see. I can't be a student again for a while. It's like, being a grad student is really traumatizing. If you went to graduate school, you probably know that. It is so traumatizing. And everybody who goes to grad school will tell you that, and it's traumatizing in a different way for everybody, but yeah. Anyway, it's been a long video, and I only talked about knitting for a little bit of it, so sorry. I don't have a lot of content because I was in Boston. I have a lot of sock knitting content, but again, because I'm doing my sock challenge, I'm like waiting to like share that content for like a while. So I'm trying to slow down on the socks so that like I'm not spending all of my knitting time working on them. But I'm really excited about all my sock designs, and I've like, I don't know, I've knit like 12 or 13 pairs of socks this year, and I've only showed like 4 of them on this channel because I have only gone through the first 2 months so far with test knitting. So maybe the next video will be the March socks. I know it's April, but I'm trying to wait a couple months before releasing my next like test knit into the world. We'll see. Okay, that's long enough. Anyway, this has been Tiny Desk Knitting with Emma. Bye!